Hichu? Yan Tingnan let out a low chuckle, his chest vibrating slightly. The sound seemed to be ground from deep within his larynx, carrying with it a hint of careless danger. He didn't move immediately. Instead, he calmly raised his left hand. Around his wrist was a string of dark -browns and wild prayer beads, which gleamed with a cold, luminous sheen in the hazy steam. "Yisu," he said, his slender fingers gently twirling the Buddhist prayer beads. His fingertips brushed intentionally or not against the delicate skin at the base of Suruone's collarbone, sending a wave of fine shivers through her body. "My classes come with a hefty tuition fee, and I don't teach students who give up halfway." Suruon felt a slight dryness in her throat. As the alcohol's effects began to set in, the man standing before her seemed to blur into a double image, but the oppressive feeling he exuded only grew sharper. She bit her lower lip, summoning what little rationality she had left, tilted her head back, and fixed her wet, almond-shaped eyes on him. "Mr. Ian," her voice was as soft as a puddle of water, yet her toes boldly slid upward along the seam of his suit pants just a few inches higher. "I've practically handed myself to you, yet you still want to talk about tuition?" Yan Ting's gaze toward Nan's eyes suddenly grew deep. The ankle, once hidden beneath the fabric, was strikingly pale, so white it almost seemed translucent against the backdrop of his dark -black suit pants. "Since Miss Su is being so sincere." Yan Tingnan suddenly leaned forward, propping himself up with one hand on the edge of the bathtub, completely enclosing her between himself and the porcelain wall. As he moved, the string of sandalwood prayer beads slipped from his grasp. The cool beads pressed against Suruone's burning cheeks, finally coming to rest against the throbbing pulse at the side of her neck. "Then don't close your eyes." As soon as he finished speaking, he suddenly grabbed the back of her head and began raining kisses down on her. Unlike the tentative kissed moments ago, this one was predatory and ferocious, instantly stealing all of Suruone's breath. The aroma of tequila exploded between their lips and teeth, mingling with the man's crisp cedar scent to create a hallucinogenic poison. Suruon instinctively gripped his soaked white shirt, her fingertips brushing against the firm, warm lines of muscle beneath. Yan Tingnan didn't seem satisfied with her compliance. He stepped back slightly, his fingertips gently stroking her lips, which were red and swollen from his kiss. His gaze was dark and unreadable. "Put your hand up." Suruone's mind was a complete mess, yet she instinctively understood his instructions. With trembling hands, she wrapped them around his slender neck, her entire body hanging on to him. The compliment, deep and muffled, made Suruone's ears burn with embarrassment. Just then, hurried and chaotic footsteps echoed down the hallway outside the bathroom, accompanied by Yun's frantic words. "Suruon, get out here right now. I know you're in there." Bang! The suite's door was violently kicked open. The enchanting atmosphere in the bathtub froze in an instant. Yan Tingnan didn't pause his movements, not even a single frown crossed his brow. He slowly straightened up, reached for the bath towel lying nearby. But instead of using it for himself, he wrapped Suruon completely and securely in it, then scooped her up horizontally in his arms. "Yan Tingnan." Yan Yu rushed to the bathroom door and, upon seeing the scene before him, was struck down with shock and froze in place. His adoptive father, who had always been aloof and self-possessed, even meticulously tying his tie, was now standing with his shirt half-open, cradling Suruon, whose clothes were disheveled. Suruon nestled in Yan Tingnan's arms, her cheeks flushed a deep crimson, and traces of dry tears still lingered at the corners of her eyes. She looked both disheveled and bewitching. Through Yan Tingnan's shoulder, she glanced provocatively toward the doorway, where Yan Yunyi stood with a deathly pale expression. A weak yet triumphant smile curled at the corner of her lips. "Young Master Yan," her voice was hoarse, tinged with the languor of having just been kissed. "Is this a gesture of care from an elder toward a younger one?" "Suruon, are you crazy?" "Hes Yan Tingnan." "Hes your Yan Yang." He was so furious that his whole body was trembling. and the fingers he used to point at the two of them were shaking uncontrollably. "What is it?" Yanting finally spoke up. He carried Suruan out of the bathroom, his gaze calmly sweeping over Yan Yanyi. In his eyes, there wasn't a trace of embarrassment at being caught, only the indifference of one who's superior toward one who's inferior. "Yanyi," Yanting said in a tone as indifferent as if he were discussing the weather, "is this your upbringing? To casually kick open the doors of your elders' rooms?" Yan Yanyi was pushed back half a step by this imposing presence, his throat feeling as if it had been blocked faster. "Father, what's wrong with us?" Yanting walked over to the sofa, gently laid Suruan down, and softly smoothed out her disheveled hair. Then he turned around and looked down at Yanyi from above. "Since you're so concerned about Miss Su." Yanting pulled a handkerchief from his pocket and slowly and deliberately wiped the hand that had just touched Suruan as if it were somehow tainted with something dirty. "That's perfect then. Miss Su has had too much to drink and has become a bit uninhibited. As an elder, isn't it only natural for me to help her sober up? Hangover cure?" Yan Yun bit his teeth together, his voice dripping with venom. "You call this a hangover cure? Otherwise." Yanting casually tossed the dirty handkerchief into the trash can, making a soft plop sound. "Or perhaps you'd like to continue on behalf of Miss Su." The implication in this sentence was too heavy. So heavy that even Yan Yunyi, a veteran who'd long been immersed in the world of pleasure and romance, felt a sudden sense of suffocation. Suruan huddled on the sofa, wrapped in a large bath towel, watching Yanting's protective yet possessive demeanor. In her heart, she felt both fear and an inexplicable thrill. In this game, it seems like she won the bet. Yanting turned around and walked over to Suruan, then crouched down in front of her. In this posture, he no longer seemed so towering and aloof, but the dark undercurrent swirling in his eyes was nonetheless deeply unsettling. He reached out and gently pinched Suruan's chin, forcing her to lift her head. "Had enough fun?" he asked in a low voice, his tone betraying neither joy nor anger. Suruan's heart was pounding like thunder. Steeling himself, he nodded and said, enough. "Not enough." Yanting spat out the two words coldly. He stood up, picked up the landline on the table, and dialed a number. "Bring up a set of clothes, women's style, size M." Hanging up the phone, he looked back at Suruan. His gaze lingered for a second on her collarbone, which was exposed beneath the bath towel, before quickly shifting away. "Suruan," he called her full name, his voice cold and detached. "Now that you've provoked me, don't even think about walking away unscathed." Yan Yuni stood to the side watching the scene unfold, his fists clenched so tightly that his knuckles cracked. As he stared at Suruan's expression, seemingly resigned to being manipulated yet somehow content with it, he felt a surge of ferocity unlike anything he'd ever experienced before. And jealousy. Suruan, who used to always trail behind him, just sobbing and begging him to give her even a single glance. When did she become so shameless? And minutes later, the assistant brought the clothes. It's a black velvet long dress with a bold cut and a backless design. Yanting held the clothes but didn't hand them to Suruan. Instead, he stood in front of her, his eyes signaling her to stand up. Suruan's legs felt weak, and as soon as she got to her feet, she stumbled slightly and ended up right in his arms. "Can't stand steady?" Yanting wrapped his arm around her waist with one hand, while holding the skirt up with the other, and said, "Then let me help you put it on." No need." Suruan hastily pushed him away, grabbed her skirt, and said, "You'll do it myself." Yanting didn't force the issue. He turned and walked to the floor to ceiling window, lit a cigarette with his back to her. Amid the swirling smoke, he gazed out the window at the bustling night view of Beijing's downtown area, his eyes behind the glasses seeming profoundly unfathomable. Suruan hastily scrambled to put on the skirt. The skirt was weighted tight, and no matter how hard she tried, she just couldn't reach the zipper in the back. Yan? she called out tentatively. Yan Tingnan turned around, extinguished his cigarette, and walked over. Turn around. He walked up behind Su Ruan and used his slender fingers to grasp a zipper pull. Her icy fingertips brushed against her scorching minus hot back, and Su Ruan couldn't help but shiver. Sizzle. The sound of the zipper being zipped up was especially clear in the quiet room. Yan Tingnan didn't immediately let go. His palm rested against her back, and through the thin velvet fabric, the warmth of his hand felt alarmingly hot. Su Ruan. He leaned close to her ear, his warm breath brushing against her lobby. Remember tonight. You were the one who lit the fire. Su Ruan turned sharply and collided with the depths of his eyes. Yan Tingnan, she no longer called him Mr. Instead. She addressed him by his given name, her eyes gleaming with a look of desperate determination. Now that I'm on your boat, I have no intention of getting off. Yan Tingnan was taken aback for a moment, then let out a low chuckle. He reached out and took off his gold-rimmed glasses, tossing them casually onto the table. Without the lenses to obscure them, the suppressed madness in those eyes finally laid bare. Okay. He grabbed Su Ruan's waist in one swift motion, pinning her against the wall, then leaned down and kissed her fiercely. Well then, let's see. Whose teeth are sharper, yours, little white rabbit, or mine? They sold woof. That night, the lights on Nebula's rooftop didn't go out until dawn. The next morning, when Su Ruan woke up, the space beside her was already empty. A black card was pressed down on the bedside table, with a sticky note beneath it. On the note was Yan Tingnan's vigorous and powerful handwriting. Tuition fees. Remember to submit your homework. Su Ruan held the sticky note in her hand, gazing at the elegantly scribbled handwriting on it, and couldn't help but burst into laughter. This isn't a Buddhist disciple, at all, just clearly an old fox. She turned over and got out of bed, then walked to the window and drew back the curtains. The sunlight was dazzling, and the sky over Jingquan remained brilliantly blue. My phone vibrated. It was a WeChat message from Yan Yunyi. There were dozens of unread messages from him alone. Su Ruan, what on earth did you do last night? Are you trying to drive me crazy?